A while back I made a video about 3 Edd Gould video games. If you don't know about them, they are flash games, mostly just fun, short time wasters that you can play online for free right now through Flash Player. Most of them were simple 1-level minigames, with only one of them being more fleshed out with multiple levels and the such. But there was in fact a 4th flash game that was being developed by Edd Gould that we never got to see. Every Edd Gould game was created in part by just 2 people. Most of, if not all, the artwork was done by Edd Gould, and all of the scripting and developing work was done by Ian Kelly, who also goes by the name Psychosis91 on Newgrounds. In 2009, with the success of 3 popular flash games under their belt, they helped set up a 3-person development team called Best Served Ice Cold. The 3rd person, by the way, was the musician called Wolfgun, who makes a lot of retro-inspired music tracks. Ed and Ian swapped ideas until they settled on a game to start development, and it was their most ambitious idea yet. The game was to be called Kid Thulhu and the Jan Ken Bunch. You would play as a child version of the mythical Cthulhu monster in a run-and-gun style platformer. There would have been 6 bosses in the game, with rock, paper, scissors style game mechanics. So presumably you would have a selection of weapons at your disposal that could act as weaknesses against each boss. After defeating one boss, you would gain an ability that would help you in other boss fights. So for example, a fire weapon would be more effective against an ice-themed boss, an ice-themed weapon would be more effective against a water-themed boss, and a water weapon would be most effective against a fire-themed boss. That general concept, but with 6 different bosses and 6 different weapons to use. If you couldn't already gather, this game would have taken heavy inspiration from Mega Man. Ian admits so much himself in the blog post that he made documenting all of this. While the Not So Special stage was an homage to Sonic 2 and Bang Boom Splat was an homage to Doom, this game would have been straight up an homage to Mega Man. And as you may have noticed, this game wasn't explicitly about Edd Gould, but with Ed's involvement in the game and his affinity for hiding secrets in his animations, there would no doubt be at least a couple references to Edd Gould in there, I am sure. With 6 different worlds in total, couldn't you imagine something like an Atlantis-themed water level, or a Hell-themed fire level, or a North Pole-themed ice level, or a zombie-infested level, or an Egyptian level? I'm not saying these set pieces would have been in the game. Honestly, I think it would be a little bit silly to limit your creativity to just one property, and there are way more ideas for bosses and levels that they could have used. But I am saying that Ed's influence would have been heavily felt in this game. In the same way Dan Paladin's art style plays a huge influence in giving Behemoth games their identity, Edd Gould's art style was distinctive enough to give anything he worked on a unique personality. So we've got a Mega Man style run and gun where you play as Cthulhu with artwork by Ed and music by Wolfgun. That sounds great! So why didn't it ever get made? Well, the team actually got pretty far into development, with 3 out of the 6 levels actually completed. The game was announced to the world in May 2009 on Ed's blog, and it was to be submitted to the Newgrounds Power of 3 summer event later that year. However, work on the project slowly came to a halt. Psychosis moved away to university, so he wasn't freely available to work on his video games. Furthermore, Ed was starting to focus a lot more on his main Edd Gould animations, so he was less able to do the artwork for the game. Basically, life got in the way and everybody had other commitments. There seems to be this common belief that the cancellation was due to Edd Gould's medical condition at the time, but according to Ian, this is simply not true. It was entirely down to other commitments for everybody involved. Thing is, the game isn't completely lost, and the original build of the game does exist in an incomplete form. A test version with 3 of the 6 stages is out there in a couple places, and apparently it plays really well. Ian says that he still has a lot of Edd's original sketches and once expressed a desire for Kid Thulhu to be completed one day, but honestly I'm not expecting to ever see it in a finished form. Especially since a lot of web browsers are ending support for Flash games, it might not even be possible to release it to the public, especially not for free. Video games take a lot of time to make. Anyone who was working on Kid Thulhu has moved on with their life. And in terms of return on investment, a free Flash game isn't exactly a profitable use of time, especially not nowadays. I think it's a real shame, but entirely understandable. It is fun to imagine though, the game that could have been, or in fact any of the other games that we could have received out of this brilliant pairing. We've still never seen any screenshots or artwork from this project, but maybe one day we will. Maybe one day. Or maybe it's just all best left in the past.